Yeah. Oh, great. You have your tripod? All right, I'm on.
Get the meeting started. Hope everybody have a great day today. We have Mr. Rasho's out in service, Ms. Rena, our newest board member, Mr. Allen, Ms. Ella, Madam Stephanie, Mr. Judge, and our legal counsel, Mr. Stewart. All right, we're going to have an opening prayer and pledge allegiance. So, Father, we thank you for this blessed day today, this beautiful weather. Pray that you give us wisdom in this meeting today. Guide our steps. We pray blessing tonight. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It really truly is.
something for us.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Lafayette Public Library Board of Control meeting. As board trustee, I would like to announce the following. This is a public meeting. To address the Board of Control on any item on the agenda, please complete and submit the public speaker form prior to the calling of the agenda item in order to have the opportunity to speak. Items for submission to the board should be handed to Ms. Nancy, seated to the table at our right. When addressing the board, state your name, parish of residence, and the title for the official record. No debating or confrontational statements will be allowed. This is not a question or answer session where you can ask questions and demand answers of the board or of the employees. The board members may ask clarifying questions to ensure your concerns are understood. All comments must pertain to library business in general and the action item being considered in particular. The 3-minute rule will be in effect. Members of the public are asked to remain quiet during the meeting to allow the board to conduct its business efficiently and to refrain from making comments while other members of the public are addressing the board from the podium. Meeting procedures are governed generally by Robert's Rule of Order, but the presiding officer may deviate from Robert's Rules of Order when necessary, convenient, or desirable for the efficient proceeding of the meeting. Please silence all phones and electronic devices. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we have comments from the library board, Northeast Library Committee. Ms. Archibald.
Okay. So, we had 2 committee meetings in October, one on October the 3rd, and the other meeting was held on October the 17th. At the October 3rd committee meeting, we approved the minutes from our September 5th committee meeting, and at the October 17th meeting, we approved the minutes from our October 3rd committee meeting. At our October 3rd meeting, we had our kickoff meeting with Maureen Art, our library consultant from 720 Design, via Zoom to discuss and plan for public input gathering. The consultant did a presentation which included introducing herself and 720 Design, a company that specializes in libraries, the recent library in a live survey for the Northeast Library Project. Maureen told us that we were the first focus group to take the survey. There were a few people from the audience who used the QR code and participated in the survey as well. The result of this survey is also listed on the library website in the Northeast Library Information and Updates. The committee passed a motion to approve the survey to be placed on the library website for the public to use to vote on things they would like to see in the Northeast Library. The survey was placed on the library website on October the 8th, and it is located at the top of the page labeled Help Shape the Future of Our Library. The survey will end on November the 30th. At the October 17th meeting, we were told that the library has already received 650 survey responses and that LPSS did allow their students the opportunity to fill out the survey. And on October 17th, there were more responses from students than adults. Regarding meetings between our consultant and the public, at our October 3rd committee meeting, we learned that there are several ways the consultant can engage with people in the community to gather input from them: open house, town hall, and focus groups. The committee recommended that the consultant host a town hall meeting and 3 focus group meetings. The committee suggested that school administration and school librarians make up 1 focus group, business leaders and community leaders would make up for another focus group, and the 3rd focus group would consist of government leaders. The 2 facilities the committee thought would work for these meetings would be the Dupuy Rec Center and the Northside High School gym. After our October 3rd meeting, the library director spoke with the consultant about the committee's recommendations. November 6th and 7th were chosen as the dates for the consultant to interact with the public for input and feedback from meetings and the survey. And it was also decided that it would be better for the consultant to do an open house instead of the town hall on November the 6th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. because although this type of meeting is less format than the town hall, the consultant has done many open house meetings with citizens that have been very successful in getting feedback from the community. The library staff is currently working on sending out flyers and notices about the upcoming open house on November the 6th to a list of people from the media, businesses, nonprofits, churches, etc. The library staff will have printed copies of the survey for people to fill out at the open house. At the October 17th meeting, our library director said that he would reach out to ULL and SLCC for contact information so they can be added to the list for sharing information about our committee meetings, the survey, and updates on the Northeast Library project. At the October 3rd committee meeting, members were told that we cannot have a quorum at a public meeting that the consultant would be hosting with people in the community to gather input and information for the Northeast Library project. Committee members would not be participating in the focus group discussion either. Committee members did express their deep concerns and strong objections to this decision. We learned at the October 17 meeting that one of the reasons that committee members were not going to be a part of the focus groups was to allow the participants to feel free to express their opinions and feedback honestly and not have to worry about what they say possibly being printed in the newspaper. Committee members said they would not have to participate in the focus group, but they would still like to be there just to observe the process. The library director said that 3 committee members could attend the open house without violating the open meetings law, and that a committee member could be added to the focus group to observe the process without violating the open meetings law. I assigned Consuela Gaines, Alton Trojan, and A.B. Rubin to attend the open house. We also learned at the October 17th meeting that on November 7th, the consultant will hold 4 focus group meetings instead of 3. Northside High School student leaders were added to the list. The focus groups will consist of 6 people in each group. The focus groups are as follows: government leaders, school administrators and librarians around the Northeast Library area, community leaders and business leaders in the Northeast Library area, Northside High School student leaders. I learned after the meeting that all 4 focus groups sessions will be held at the main library in the room next to the large meeting room, which is, I'm assuming, right here, and that the library staff are working on participants and times for the focus group meetings. I am still waiting on a list of community leaders and business leaders from one of my committee members. I will reach out to my committee member either tonight or tomorrow morning for that list. I will speak with the library director tomorrow, November 22nd, about the focus groups and having a committee member observe the process. I'm almost finished, y'all. I take very thorough notes. Finally, during public comments at our October 17th committee meeting, some members of the public implied that we are not getting the word out about the Northeast Library project. On the list that the library staff uses to send out committee meeting notices, information on the Northeast Library Public Survey and updates on the project are as follows. There's at least 17 media outlets, the media distribution list that the parish uses, as well as the director's internal list for parish government, at least 10 businesses, library staff distributed flyers system-wide via transit and posted signs at Main, at least 5 churches, at least 7 nonprofit organizations, at least 7 recreation centers. Northeast Library Committee members, including myself, have been sharing meeting notices and the survey with people and organizations within our circle. So I hope the public will see that we are being transparent about the Northeast Library project, and we are doing our best to get the word out about the project and updates for the Northeast Library project. This concludes my report. And Mr. Ghislaine, if you have anything that you can add to this report that I missed, please do so.
We sent out a press release today about the open house, and the survey responses are up over 840, with over 300 of those are from younger people from 19 and under.
How much did you say, 840?
846 before we came to the meeting. And over 300 of those are from people 19 and under.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mr. Ghislaine, could you confirm the open house location?
It's at the Dupuy Rec Center.
Yes.
I was able to attend the meeting on Thursday, which was, I was glad I was able to do that. It was very informative. Thank you, Ms. Arsenal, for your leadership there, and for the volunteers who served on the committee. It's obvious that they're engaging in the community. And what I did learn, we were able to look at the survey results, and so far, at that time, Thursday night, there were 650 results, which far exceeded, correct me if I'm wrong, but far exceeded their expectation by that time for sure, being so new out there. And it was very interesting to see the data points and the information that we're collecting. So I think it'll be very valuable information for us to extrapolate weaknesses, strengths, and maybe target areas of what the library can do differently, or maybe not necessarily do differently, but marketing or targeting an audience as far as informing of our services. So I think that'll be very valuable. So I'm glad we're doing this. Also, let's see. I'm glad to hear. I know that there were some concerns expressed by the public, and I hope all those concerns were have been put aside.
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. All right, facility updates.
Okay, the updates are on major projects. So for our South Regional Library renovation project, minor work has started on the exterior of the building, mainly for electrical fixtures and lighting upgrades. We anticipate major work to start next month on the meeting room corridor side of the building. We're going to shut off that area. Public restrooms are going to be rotated while they get updated. So we're going to have some closures to certain areas of that facility. and some interruption in that facility coming November, December, until we're done as the phases rotate throughout the building. We are in final review of the construction documents, of the bidding documents for the South Regional Library roof replacement project. Once that makes it through all LCG departments, Public Works, purchasing, all those good departments, it will be sent out for bid. And once we get those results, we'll present the information to you all. As it relates to the North Regional Library renovation project, the architect is working on the construction document phase. This phase is typically the longest phase, as they have to get through all the details and ensure everything is up to par. Once we receive, I think they typically have 120 calendar days to complete that phase. So it takes a minute to get through that phase. After that phase, present it to you all, give you the updated estimated budget, estimated cost, and then if you guys approve it, we go out for bid and then come back to you with the results. And again, that project consists of carpet, paint, new air conditioning equipment, new roof, the works for that facility. The Northeast Library, again, I've been working with the committee, the administration, consultants, architects, and just helping provide information to whomever needed just to keep things moving along. Attend the committee meetings, help draft the survey, and help distribute the survey and get it online. That's what I have for the major projects.
Excuse me, Mr. Angel.
Mhm.
So the survey, did we do that in-house? Did y'all do that, or was that provided by 720?
720 gave us some drafts that they commonly use, and I fine-tuned it basically, and then presented it to Danny, and then presented it to the committee.
And the committee approved it.
Financials.
Yep, financial, please.
Included in your packet is a financial report. The report is for the current fiscal year, which starts November 1, 2023 and ends October 31st, 2024. So we are pretty much done with this fiscal year with the exception of expenses that trickle in and accrue. As of October 21, as of today, our revenues are $14.1 million and our expenses are $11.3 million. In comparison to last fiscal year, about this time, our revenues were $12.9 million and our expenses were $10.4 million. Again, these are not final numbers. We will not have audited numbers until about March or April of next year.
We operate in a surplus.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Director's report, Mr. Danny.
Okay, so since we last met, I attended the administrative conference in Baton Rouge. That's Larry was with me. It's mostly library directors from around the state. Bodyland meeting, and I've been at all of the Northeast committee meetings. I got to meet Councilman Richard. I try to meet all of the elected officials, and Councilman Stansbury, if anyone has any connections with him, is avoiding me. It's true. We will be closing to the public on November 5th for the East and South libraries. Drive-up service will still be available. There'll be staff there doing the things that need to get caught up, but the elections, it's very difficult on a presidential election to have the library open and people voting. We have filled the outreach librarian 3 position, and we have filled one of the 2 vacant library associate positions. We're still advertising for our librarian 2 who drives bookmobile, and 1 more of the library associate positions. If I fill either one of those positions that's still outstanding, we should be able to, within a few weeks, start rolling out bookmobile service again. I know that's a big on everyone's mind out in the public. We've been trying really hard to get people in place to do that. and that's it.
Okay. Before we go to the next, I don't think I'll pause to recognize Ms. Dawn Williams, who was our newest assistant.
We welcome you, Assistant Director.
She's assistant director? Yeah.
Thank you.
We welcome you.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, we're gonna move to approve the minutes from September 16th meeting.
Mr. President, I do make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 16, 2024 regular board meeting.
I second that.
No statements, no comments.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And ayes have it. Carries. Okay.
I say, your first vote.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, and moving on to unfinished business, the board will actually move forward with a driveway parking lot work to connect to the Apollo Road.
Okay, so last month, we had a proposal of estimated cost to connect the parking lot to the new Apollo Road at the West Regional Library. We also considered widening the existing entrance and exit, which is on Old Spanish Trail. After talking with the engineer, walking the site, luckily it was already staked out and we could see where the line locations were because they're adding sidewalks on the Old Spanish Trail now, right in front of our facility. We were able to see the location of everything. And just looking at it again, we thought it'd be best to just avoid that piece of the project for now. It was such a small benefit in comparison to the cost involved with relocating that water main. So we recommend to create the new driveway connecting to Apollo Road at this point. And what's in your packet is the new estimated costs. We had some updates to some of the areas that we had missed, but these are your new updated costs. And I do have the previous costs for comparison if you guys want to see that. But that is our recommendation at this time, is concentrate on the Apollo Road connection and see how that affects the traffic and the curb hitting at that original Old Spanish Trail entrance. When we have a secondary location that larger vehicles can enter, we may, have some better results. So give it a try, and we can revisit if it becomes a problem later on. That's what we recommend. Yeah, and the money's in the existing budget.
That's always my next question. All right.
Yeah, we're just asking for authorization to move forward.
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
May I be recognized, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Judge.
Mr. Angel, the numbers that we have here, this is the total cost of 117 and the 25, both of those together?
Combine them, yes, sir.
Combine them,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
I just wanted to make sure we were gonna go through this at the same time. Thank you.
143.
Mr. Angel, this is just to add the connection of the driveway?
Correct. And stripe the parking lot. So,
It's 25,000 to strike, Blue Resistance Strip. Okay, and that, what company is doing this for us?
it will depend on who the low bidder is.
Okay,
So as you can see in I don't know if you can see my cursor,
We can.
Okay, this is the new Apollo Road, and here is where we would like to install a very wide entrance and exit with no median. So that should help alleviate some of the issues. And then it allows for a straight exit here. This is where most of the curb damage is occurring, right in this turn. I'm not sure, I guess it's just a narrow entrance with this median, and I guess people prefer to avoid the median and just kind of rub the curves more than anything. But we'll kind of watch it and see what happens after this entrance exit is added. And again, they're adding sidewalks all down here, all down Old Spanish Trail to connect to the older neighborhoods so that we can get better pedestrian access to us. And I think this is going to be developed into townhouses as well. So they're growing all around us. So walkability and connection to these sidewalks on Old Spanish Trail by this entrance would be great for all the new development that's currently going on around us, because the sidewalks are on the other side of a ditch right now. So this entrance will be great for pedestrians as well.
How long, Larry, how long is the beginning to the end of the driveway project? So from Apollo Road into our parking lot, what's the, do you know? I can't see the numbers, if there was one, I guess it's down here, is it?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't make that out. Maybe you can.
What was your question?
The distance from Apollo Road to the parking lot itself, so as you come off Apollo and you go in, it's kind of dark. I'm just curious.
Well, that's 30 feet wide. It looks 56 feet.
Okay.
66 feet.
Okay. 66 feet.
And Mr. Onger, you did say that we're putting the other part, the other road on hold, the one that tires keep meeting with the median.
Yeah.
Are they still kind of working on creative ways to fix that at some point without messing with the water main and stuff? We had suggested a few ideas. Did y'all look at that, entertain that?
The engineer did look at it. Said it just wasn't feasible at the time. The size of the entrance is up to par. I don't know, maybe it's the turning radius, I'm not sure why it's causing that, so we just want to see what will happen with this new entrance and exit, and we can revisit at a later date whether or not we want to pursue narrowing the median, which could, it would require relocation of the lighting. They probably have to be surface mounted on the sign. It just gets narrower at that point, more chance for sign damage. So there's a lot to consider.
By having a second, or this new entrance, that should alleviate some of the problems, because now there's another entrance.
We hope so, yes.
And you did put this on your notes for the Northeast Library. Mr. Angel provided the committee with a list of things that, through his experience working with the library system, some things that will work, some things that would be necessary, which is going to be helpful to all of us in the process. So add that to your list. Don't put a sign right there.
Yeah.
Or that close.
Right.
So Larry, I have some questions if I may.
Sure.
Mr. Larry, can you tell us what the 24-inch RCPA, what does that stand for?
That's I don't remember, it's the pipe underground. It's the ditch.
Is that a concrete culvert
Culvert pipe, yeah.
to allow the water to run through, and then you have to have?
Because it's an open ditch currently.
Okay. And then, just looking at some of the numbers, it just seems a bit expensive. $15,000 between a portalet, clearing and grubbing, removal of structures and obstructions, and excavation and embankment. I'm just looking at the area. I don't see any obstruction. It just seems like a lot of money.
We have to, There's some development rules related to drainage. Anytime we, I guess, enclose a ditch, you have to take land off somewhere else on the property, so that's some of that work. This is a rough estimate from an engineer for budget purposes. It's not the final anything, it's just a rough budget. So they overestimate on everything just to make sure we budget enough to handle this project, which we have the funding for, but that's the current practice, is overestimate to make sure you have enough in the budget. Because if you don't have enough in the budget, everything stops. In some cases, you have to go before the parish council. You know, there's a lot of steps. So you want to estimate high and hope for low bids. Yeah.
Gotcha, so we'll approve this and you'll get the actual quotes and come back to us.
Correct. We'll have to write specifications and go out for bid and all that good stuff. It'll be a process.
Thank you.
Good questions. Okay. Any other questions? Make a motion to move on approving the improvements for the driveway.
I'll second that.
No statements, no comments.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, on the new business here, our library calendar.
Is this basically the standard, Mr. Gawain, what we've been
Yes,
following?
this is pretty much this year's version of last year's calendar.
Okay.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve the calendar.
I second that.
No comments.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to election of officers. Library board will elect library board president, vice president for terms effective November 2024 to October 2025.
Mr. President, can I just refer to Mr. Bro to make sure that I'm thinking this is correct? If my memory serves me correct, Mr. Bro, anybody can nominate. You can nominate yourself. You don't need a second, and then we take a roll call vote. Is that correct?
Appears to be.
Okay. I'll nominate Daniel Kelly for president for a second term.
I second that.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Alan Moore for vice president.
I think we just do president.
Just do one at a time? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'd like to nominate myself. Okay. We'll do roll call. All right. Mr. Judge?
I'll vote for Mr. Daniel Kelly for president.
Marshall?
Daniel Kelly for president.
Mr. Allen?
Daniel Kelly for president.
Mr. Name?
I'll abstain since I'm new and don't know any of you.
Good idea. I'll vote for me too.
Vote for me too? All right. Stephanie? All right, so, yes, thank you. All right. Now we're going to move to vote for the VP, Vice President. I'd like to nominate Mr. Moore, Vice President. Mr. Judge,
I'd like to do that too.
you ready in?
Ditto.
I would do that too.
I'd like to do that too.
Two? All right. And you are?
I will abstain.
Okay.
I'm gonna abstain too, because I don't think you can vote for yourself.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you can.
All right? Congratulations.
I just want to,
Sure.
you should vote for yourself, so we have a
Fine.
four.
I vote for myself.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to the vehicle allowance, and I'm going to Mr. Dan.
So, LCG provides for a vehicle allowance, a vehicle subsidy, and because we have 10 locations and we're scouting for, well, we have 10 locations if you count the warehouse, 11 if you count Northeast, and we're scouting for a place to temporarily house North, and my operations manager and assistant director are constantly going between these buildings. And they spend a lot of time on the road, and I had brought the subject up with a couple of board members that I would like to see that extended. If the board does extend it, we do have money in our current budget, so we can afford it. And our finances are fine moving forward. And I would then need permission from the CAO, who I spoke to find out how this would work, and she said that if you supported it, she would write the memo and she would extend it to them. So essentially it's a convenience charge, sort of, to help with the fact that they're in their vehicles all the time. And so yeah, that's it.
Yes, sir.
Is this a straight mileage chart? So
No.
when they leave here and they go to a location on business, obviously, you keep a log, and at the end of the month, they turn in a,
No, this is a flat $500 a month.
okay.
12 months.
12 months.
I'll ask y'all, what's your average mile, what you've been doing a month, mileage wise? How many miles have you traveled in a month? I know y'all, I know y'all are out and buzzing around, I get that.
Dawn just started, so she's not
Yeah,
gonna.
I was saying.
Larry, I know you going here and going there and looking at all that stuff, so I know you're zipping around.
Project mode, depends on mode, the stage of the project, and meetings, construction meetings versus warranty repairs. It all depends on what's happening.
Roof leaks at libraries.
Because Larry is exempt, so just for an example, I got a text message with a picture of an outlet at the East Regional Library with the plug was in the outlet, but it wasn't attached to the cord, and so
This
they,
is the plug in the-
yes, it was just the prongs essentially.
Yeah.
And so this is the East Regional Library, and Larry lives closer out towards the West Regional Library. And because of the concerns of the staff, Larry gets in his car and he drives over to East Regional Library to deal with that. That is not something that Larry gets paid for. Larry doesn't get overtime or anything like that. So he just, as responsible for the buildings person, just goes.
So Danny, can we just give him a Tesla? I'm joking. Sorry about that. It's the coffee. It's the coffee.
We don't talk about this.
Dan, is there any way we could do this on a mileage basis?
We do mileage. When you have the vehicle subsidy, you don't. And it was just an effort to deal with the salary discrepancies involving me and the two people directly below me. There's a vast gap, and also dealing with, it's just the wear and tear on the car. So,
I get it. In my business, I charge mileage to my clients and they pay me.
and it's just one of those things, I'm bringing it to the board. You know, I'll accept whichever direction y'all go. This is my request. I've been giving it some thought. I've been, like I said, I've talked to a couple of the board members in the past, and brought it up. And it's just,
Yeah, I think that to do it on a mileage basis is somewhat exactitude, but you may drive and turn in $650 one month. And you're going to be reimbursed for that, and it's the wear and tear on all of that, which the IRS allows it for. So there's no way to do it that way. You have to do it this
no,
way.
we can do it that way. I mean,
Okay.
that's
So they would keep a log.
right.
Where they went.
We already do it that way.
Oh, okay.
This was just a way of recognizing the amount of work that they do, and
Sure.
that LCG extends this benefit to certain classes, and so I was asking if we could extend it to the two people who handle the most in our building.
Mr. Gillane, could you repeat the part about how it's already extended to certain LCG employees?
All department heads in LCG, a few of the people who work for the parish president's office and the council, and there's one or two other people who it's extended to. So there's a PPM that falls under the chief administrative officer.
Okay, great.
And how is that paid to them?
It is paid through their checks.
I'm sorry, that's not a good question, forgive me. Is it extended as a flat rate like that per month, or is it paid per month?
It is extended as a flat rate. They take the $500 a month, they divide it amongst the 26 checks, and they take taxes out of it.
Okay.
Mr. President. Yeah, I recognize, with the director search and talking to the staff and learning more about the different positions and what they have to do, I recognize how much both of those positions, especially Larry, has to travel and oversee with maintenance. And I know that these, with the Northeast project coming up, as well as the continual maintenance and operations needs at the other facilities, so I support this.
Mr. President, I know I'm new, but I would like to point out that these are the kinds of things that make or break good employees staying at their jobs. And I just heard many of you compliment this staff and the amazing things that they've done and the work that they carry on. And to know that taxes are also taken out of it, they're not even getting the full 500. So I would also like to support this.
Mr. President, I'd like to comment, being extensively involved in the process of finding a new assistant director and visiting with Mr. Larry quite a bit. They do carry a tremendous load here within our library system, and we're all aware of their pay scale, and I do believe it is wanting. And so I don't think this is much as a function of a mileage reimbursement or anything of that. I think it's a way that we have at our disposal to be able to give them an additional increase in salary and an appreciation for the many things that they're both held responsible for, and then getting up and going run for an electrical plug that is not probably within the job scope, but still doing it. And so I would support this as well.
Thank you.
If I may, one final thing. In a mileage reimbursement, it's not taxable because it's a reimbursement. And so if you put it in a salary, it becomes taxable and it becomes subject to income tax. So just, that's a consideration, and more than anything, don't have any concerns that this is necessary, and it should have already actually been done in some form or fashion. I think my concern was is that if you have some kind of reimbursement, that it be a reimbursement. That way, it's just an expense and it's not taxable. So it actually it can benefit better if it's a a non-taxable expense item as opposed to putting on salary and it increases your tax burden. Just consideration.
Yes, sir.
So I'm assuming that since this is on the agenda, that Mr. Angel would like the structure as well. Ms. Williams. So I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the vehicle allowance.
I will second that motion.
Motion second. Any comments?
No comment.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations for that.
Very good.
All right, moving on to the main library. The board will discuss and take action moving forward, replacing and refurbishing the elevator.
Oh, yes, they're all, naturally, they're all working today. So, so not all of you were on the board when we talked about the roof for the main library. But when we moved back into this library in 2015, we were closed for a little over 5 years for renovating. And we had an opportunity to replace our roof, and instead we did something that should have worked. And then a year and a half, 2 years ago, we spent $700,000 replacing our roof. So when we were doing all of that work and not replacing our roof, we were also not replacing our elevators. We were refurbishing our elevators, and they're out constantly. And I do not know what it would have cost in 2014, 13 to replace elevators, but it'll cost close to $1 million to replace 3 elevators at the main library right now. They are regularly, we have patrons stuck in the elevators. On rare occasions, we have all 3 elevators out. Pretty regularly, I would say weekly, we have an elevator out, and every couple of months we have 2 elevators out. Sometimes we have to escort people to the back so we can bring them up the staff elevator and escort them out. And it is a concern, and the price of elevators is probably not going to go down. And we have collected money, and we have done well. We have done well with how we have managed our fund balances. We have the money in our fund balance to pay for new elevators, something that I was not part of the decision-making process in the past for that. I would have voted for new elevators had I been in that situation. And I think that looking at the building going forward into the future, having new elevators, very much like we're treating north and south with the fixing the internal systems, is a good idea for the long life of this building and the people who use it, being able to get to the various parts of it, especially the members of the public. And if you, I'll tell you a little bit about how this process would work. If you decide that you're okay with us pursuing this, we would then work with Public Works and LCG to write up something, and would go RFP or bid. We would have to go out. We'd hire an architect. We'd have an elevator specialist. And then when we got closer to knowing the amount, we would have to go before the council and ask the council if we could move $1 million from our fund balance into our capital fund, because we do not have the authority to move money around in our budget. So if we're going to move money into or out of the capital fund, the parish council votes on that after you guys vote on it. But I do believe this is an investment in this building. This building has been up since 1973, 5 years to renovate it. We left the elevators out, and I would like to rectify that situation for all of the people who don't like using the stairs. I'm not one of them.
Or can't use the stairs. Right.
Okay. It's about $1 million.
We're expecting, we think, about $1 million.
There's 3 elevators?
3 elevators.
You wanna change all 3 of
We
them?
want 3 new elevators.
3 million.
Does that
No,
include?
$1 million. That's all of your elevators.
And that includes the hiring of the architect and
That
everything
is-
else that is involved, so
that's-
everything.
We think that is pretty
Without
much
the door.
total cost.
It's out the door.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Gillane, you mentioned that the elevators are a great feature for people who don't like the stairs, but could you speak to any necessary ADA compliances that are not up to par when these go out?
When they go out, ADA, we're not compliant at the moment, but my understanding is, you have leeway because things break. And we would make accommodations for people who can't go up. I mean, we would not be able to get someone up to the 3rd floor who wanted to browse. But yes, having working, operating elevators, reliable elevators would keep us definitely in ADA compliance.
I would assume it would also help employees who are moving carts of books back and
Yes.
forth?
When all of the elevators are broken, no books move up and down the stairs.
Thank you.
You could do the cardboard box and slide down the stairs.
We could do that, except risk management frowns upon us doing things like that. And then there's that whole glass thing, I mean,
I'm gonna claim this back.
That's how the glass got broken last time?
no, we do not know how it was. It just broke.
I'm sorry, it's just home ownership and no, I'm laughing because how old are the elevators? Were they original from the building?
Yes.
Okay, they need to be replaced, I guess.
I think you said 1973.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, Mr. Gillane, are you asking permission just to move forward, or do we need to have a specific in the motion, like for the check?
Probably, well, before we can hire any consultant or architect, we have to have the funding.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we're asking you to allow us to request the council amend our budget to put $1 million in capital for elevators.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
No
No
comments.
comments? Okay. All right, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's get them elevators. All right, moving on to the collection development policy.
Okay, Mr. President, if you'll allow me.
Yes, ma'am.
I did a little research on our policies, and back in December 18, 2023, at our Library Board of Control meeting, we had just discussed the collection development policy. We also discussed a few other policies, but tonight I just brought collection development to the floor. There were changes that were made to the policy that have never been recorded on the library's website for this policy. So I sent information to have all of you see those changes that were made to the policy. They were approved by the board. But in looking at the policy, I noticed that the statistics, that is something we'll have to keep our eye on, and I would prefer not having to worry about statistics. So in your packet, when you look at the information for the collection development, the information in red is the new wording for Section 2, the library and its community.
What page?
That should be on page 2. It's all in red. So there's 2 policies. They're very, very similar, but the one that looks like this, guys, this is the newest one. The other copy that y'all were given is how the language is written currently on the library's website. So I'm not changing anything that the board didn't already change. I'm just asking that it be updated in there, but I am asking that this board look at the changes and makes changes to Section 2, the library and its community. Do we have a copy that we could put up here for the public to see the changes that that I suggested.
Ms. Arsamont, if I can ask a question,
Absolutely.
just for clarification. So if I'm understanding correctly, our current policy identifies specific statistics, and for us to be current with that information, it would require coming to the board every year, updating those numbers if those numbers change, which we expect they would. So with your new verbiage, that you're proposing new verbiage, so we don't have to look at these and update them every year, which would also help the staff, of course, not have to do that. So this represents that information just without those specific numbers, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And y'all could read, and I'll read it for the public. So the news, did you have it up here, Larry? I can't see what you have. Okay, so if you have the original up there, that's fine. I'll just read my suggested changes to the audience.
So is this the changes or?
That's the original one. That's the original one.
That's how it originally is, and it's got a few parts to it. Can you just scroll so the audience can see, a little bit? And y'all can pull it up on your phone if y'all have a smartphone and go to the library's website underneath policies, collection development, number 2, the community and the library and its community. Okay, so I would like to change it to read, the Lafayette Public Library serves the citizens of Lafayette Parish. The parish includes the cities, towns, and communities of Broussard, Carencro, Dusson, Judy's, Milton, Austin, Ridge, Scott, and Youngsville. Lafayette is home to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and the Lafayette campus of the South Louisiana Community College. A primary goal of the collection is to be accessible to all users throughout the parish and to meet the needs of the people of differing ages, ethnic groups, lifestyles, and points of view. The library provides service through the main library and several regional libraries and smaller library branches and a bookmobile. The Lafayette Public Library is funded by dedicated parish-wide property taxes, which are used for the operation and maintenance of the library system. The annual budget is set by the library director and submitted for approval by the Lafayette Public Library Board of Control. Final budget approval is given by the Lafayette Parish Council. And that's the wording that I would like to use instead of what's in the original. It takes out the statistics and stuff.
Mr. President, may I
Yes, ma'am.
have a comment? Mr. Gilleen, in your work in libraries, is the statistics and the breakdown of the parish poverty as well as educational statistics standard to this kind of statement?
Usually no.
So what might be the history of the statistics in this statement?
This collection development policy was written under the previous director, and we did not have a collection development policy for the first 68 years of existence. We didn't have a formal collection development policy. Most libraries do, not all of them. We did not, and so I was not part of writing of the policy, but my time at the State Library, when I've seen other Louisiana libraries, we usually didn't see putting a breakdown of the community in it. It's just something that begs to have to be updated on a regular basis.
Okay, and with an update, I'm curious about the workload of that, because these are statistics that I cited myself when I ran for library board, and it took me about 5 minutes to find it. And the poverty level, as well as the education level, as well as our community breakdown, is vastly changing. It's not that I don't think that these shouldn't appear or should appear in this statement. It's just I'm concerned about The reason being it takes too much work to update our statistics about our community.
The work would be on the board, it would not be on the library. It's something that y'all would have to discuss and vote on whenever you made the change.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to accept these changes as they were presented to us.
I would like to make a motion to not accept these changes.
I'm sorry, point of order.
That's okay, I'm new to the block.
That's okay. Point of order. I made a motion to accept it.
I'll second.
Then now there's a second. And so now there's a motion and a second. We'll go to public comment if there is any.
Okay.
And then if, depending on what that is, and then it's a vote, or you can, after the public comment, if you have any more discussion, you can make a discussion. So you could vote to make an amendment or enter a motion to amend if you wish. A specific amendment. That would be the way to change if you wanted to change the wording, you'd have to make a motion to amend in that regard.
Thank you, I appreciate the explanation.
Sure, it's okay. I'm glad to do it.
I truly appreciate it. Well, I better get out the door right now.
Next question, why they want to do something. If they want to take that out, it's because they want to take out
No comments.
for what something they want to do.
Mr. Stewart? If I may, this is, just the list of the community, cities, towns, and communities doesn't include Lafayette. So that appears to be just a typo based on the original language referred specifically to the city of Lafayette having a certain population. I'm just saying that so that we wouldn't have to go back there.
Sure.
Did I forget us?
Who could forget?
Sorry?
You have Lafayette Parish, but not the city.
So I think that would go between Giudice and Milton since they're listed in alphabetical order.
So, Mr. Grove, do we have to remove the motion to, what's the easiest way
No,
to?
you can amend it. We
Okay.
have a motion and a second. Now, I'll move to amend the original to insert the word Lafayette between the words Giudice and Milton. So that would be amendment to the original motion. That amendment to the original motion would have to be seconded.
I'll second.
Now it's seconded. Any comment on the amendment?
No
No
comments.
comment on the amendment. Now we can have discussion and or vote. If there's no discussion, vote on the amendment, because that's a proceeding that takes precedence over the original.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any further comments on it?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask Ms. Bradley, I'd like to hear your thoughts as to why you were against this.
Yes, I would like to continue to include the racial and ethnic group breakdown. The other parts, I can understand Ms. Ella's interest in saving us time and effort in terms of maintaining statistics. But after I completed Citizens Academy and I was riding around doing my ride-alongs with Officer Logan Campbell, we had a fascinating discussion about how Lafayette is going to turn into a metropolitan, truly by a police enforcement definition of a metropolitan. And since I've been here, I have seen such a diverse array. And so it's not that I think anyone is going to pull up this statement versus pulling up the United States Census like I do. But I think that having our community breakdown when we're talking about a collection that serves a vast, wide community, this is also something that I found reflective in the conversations I had with my councilmen. I won't be sharing the details of those conversations, but when I had conversations with councilmen, representation of diversity and accuracy of our community was really important.
Thank you for that.
And my reasoning was just to try to make it simple, make our policy simple.
Well, the whole part about the different industries and salaries and poverty line, all of that is, here nor there. But if you're going to include the cities, I think including the breakdown of people who live here pairs well.
would you word that? How would you word that in the
That's for
statement?
Ella to reword.
I would just
I'm
need.
sorry, point of order again. I hate to be a little bit of a stickler, but we have a motion and a second on an amendment. So to discuss the whole thing is improper at this moment.
We just
would
need to vote on adding the city.
We would vote on the amendment first, and then we can, to add the word Lafayette, that's all it is. And then, if there's further discussion regarding the original motion and second, then we would, then we would have this discussion.
Okay.
So it's just a little out of place.
Okay.
So we need to vote on adding Lafayette?
We need to vote on, yes, we had a motion and a second, we made that as an amendment.
Okay.
That motion takes precedence because it's a superseding motion from the original
Yeah.
motion.
Okay.
That's the reason they call them Robert's Rules of Order.
That's right.
Precisely.
So we have a motion.
I'm that old.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Okay, so the amendment passes to add the word Lafayette between Judy's and Milton. Now, does the original motion to use this language now, that's on the floor. And that's already been motioned and seconded.
Right.
Speak.
Now it's time to have the discussion.
Mr. Delane, do we have the numbers reflected on our website anywhere?
No.
Okay, so if I'm understanding the intention behind it, it was so that we wouldn't, if there were no other changes in the policy, it wouldn't have to be an agenda item where the board would have to approve it. Is there any place, if I'm correct, is there any place that we could put this information on our website or something? In a place that it wouldn't, policy has to be approved by the board.
Okay.
So that's why this is, but is there another place where we could put this information that the staff can just update as it changes?
Yes. We could put it
That
under
sounds
about
great.
the library.
I appreciate that suggestion, Ms. Wimberster.
And it's just a point, and we can just do, Danny can just do that. If this board wanted to come back and make it as a point of policy that those numbers be posted on, we
Yeah,
can do
that
that
needs
too.
to be a
Yeah.
policy.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Call for the vote. Then we have a motion
We have a motion and a second.
to approve the amendment with my change.
Oh, with the change, so
But-
With the
so
changes.
So right, because the amendment was passed, it's automatically attached to the original motion, and now that whole thing comes to the board. The amendment's passed, it's on the language, and so now the original motion.
with the motion and second, so, or do we have to have a
So we
second?
have to do it.
Okay, I'll move that we, accept the
No,
motion.
we're not doing one, we just
Yeah,
call for a
remember
vote.
that's right.
Yeah, we just call for a vote.
Okay.
Okay. I call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Against?
Okay. All right, so the ayes have it, the motion carries.
And Mr. Delane, would you, for the benefit of the board, would you find a great place for that information and report back to us and let us know what your thoughts are? Thank you.
A great place. For information. Maybe you like
Okay, moving on to the bylaws. Board will discuss and may take action on Article 9. The bylaws require a third majority of the membership to amend the bylaws.
Mr. President, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I brought this before the board. I recall, as we were going through bylaws, we made some bylaws changes a couple of years ago. We had a couple of squirrely provisions, and initially, this particular Article 9 regarding amending the bylaws, that it was, you needed 5 votes to do it.
Right.
But we had an 8-member board at the time. The parish council changed the number of board members from 8 to 7. When they did that, I don't know how that particular section in the bylaws got worded differently, but it did, and I haven't been able to find that. However, During those discussions that I had with the legislative auditor's office and the attorneys that work there, and about one of the issues was quorum and how many votes you need to pass something, et cetera. We had a provision in our bylaws where we could have a quorum of 4 people, but you needed 5 votes to pass something, which, if you think about it, you could have 4 people here and have a quorum, and you can't even open a meeting because but you can't pass anything. You can open a meeting, close the meeting, and you go home. So we flipped that around to where you have a majority is a quorum, and in this case, a majority is 4 members would be a quorum, and you need 4 votes to pass things. We had that long discussion and policy changes. One of the discussions that I had with the legislative auditor's attorney was that your bylaws are sort of like your constitution. You want them to be pretty stable. You don't want them to be changed easily, but at the same time, because it doesn't have to do with policy, how the library deals with the public and how it operates on a day-to-day basis. The bylaws are how we govern ourselves, more so than anything. So the point of the change is that, and instead of saying, okay, you need 5 votes, if you do a 2/3 majority vote and you look at the number of here, it's 4.66 votes, which would mean you would need 5. But should the parish council decide at some point in the future, and they could, change the number of members of the library board, it doesn't have to be revisited, because you just need a majority, you just need a 2/3 majority vote to change the bylaws. This does not affect policy, it doesn't affect resolutions, it doesn't affect anything else that this board does, simply changing bylaws. So if you go in and you want to change the bylaws, you need a 2/3 majority vote. It only affects the bylaws themselves. So I'd like to make a motion to pass this change in the bylaws, that the bylaws would now read, these bylaws may be amended at any regular meeting by at least a 2/3 majority vote of the membership of the board.
I second that.
Motion in a second.
No comment.
Can we have discussion? I just have a couple questions about bylaws.
Yes.
Mr. Judge, was this in our, the bylaws? I'm guessing that must be in the binder Mr. Gerling gave me. I'm just curious what the bylaws dictate, so that if you have a 2/3 majority, they can be amended, right? So what do the bylaws encompass for this board?
The way this board operates. So like, what is a quorum? That's in the bylaws.
Okay.
How the president is elected, how the vice president is elected, how many years they get to serve,
Right.
notification, conduct of the meetings, Robert's Rules of Order, those kind of things. So again, the way we operate, that's what the bylaws govern.
Okay.
It doesn't deal with policy like
Right.
that's a whole different,
Right.
yeah.
So is the concern that sometimes board members aren't able to make the meetings, and that's why we want to reduce it to a 2/3 majority versus the full 4 or 5?
No, that's not correct.
This is a concern to make it to where more people need to be here? Okay.
To vote to pass the bylaws, typically, when you have bylaws, it takes more board members to change the bylaws, because that's like your constitution, which I think is the word you used. So it would be greater actually than just a normal quorum of the 4.
Okay.
So, and were you saying that you were surprised to see, I was too, that it wasn't, because I thought it was stronger than it said.
It was, and again, this goes back to 2022, it was stronger. It said you needed 5 votes. So with the 7-member board, you needed 5 votes to change the bylaws. With a 2/3 majority vote, and the reason why I'm using 2/3 majority is because right now with the 7-member board, it's 4.666666 people, so you need 5 votes, because you can't get 0.6 of a vote. So that's a dad joke, I'm sorry. It's like 2.4 kids. So anyway, you need 2/3. This gives us the stability you need, so your bylaws are stable, and it also allows it to move. So again, the parish council, we used to have 8 members. The parish council changed that, and we have 7-member board. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. You may get a council that says, we want X number of members of the board. The board doesn't have to come back and change this to incorporate a particular number, and so you have a 2/3 majority vote. We did the same thing with our bylaws when we changed what it takes to pass a resolution or policy changes or those kind of things. It's a simple majority vote, but not less than 4 votes.
Okay.
So what we did was, that way you could have a quorum of 5 people. Well, a quorum of 5 people, a majority of the people at the meeting is a quorum, but a majority would be 3.
Right.
And so in order to create a stability in the policy, we cut it off and made it 4. Or you could see something else, some variation of that. So again, the 2/3 just simply gives you some flexibility, but it also gives you a standard without a specific number of saying, well, you need 5 members. Well, what if they change the board to 11 people?
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden 5 people is not even a majority.
Right.
It's a minority. So you could have a minority come in and decide to change the bylaws. Again, your bylaws are sort of your constitution of the way you operate, and policy is sort of like legislation that you approve.
Okay.
So you just need a majority vote.
All right, I appreciate
That's the
it.
breakdown.
Thank you.
Did that help any?
Tremendously.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. We have a motion in a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
No comment.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Announcements, the limit of the next library board meeting will be Monday, November 18th. And a reminder of the yearly ethics training and sexual harassment training will be completed before December 31st of this year. We're gonna move to comments from the public on any matter on the agenda.
Lynette Maya.
Hi, Lynette Mejia, I'm Karen Crowe. I'm gonna comment on something that I've commented on before multiple times. I always ask you guys for transparency in dealing with the public, and a lot of times the meeting documents, the agenda does not reflect that. For example, tonight there was an item on the agenda that was a change to the collection development policy. And the old collection development policy was posted, the new collection development policy was posted, but there was no red line on there to show like what the proposed changes were. So it's a pretty big document, and so to kind of go through it and compare it word by word is kind of prohibitive in terms of preparing for what you all may be discussing and voting on. So it would have been very helpful to have the new document marked in such a way that the changes were clear and obvious to anyone who wanted to look into that and talk about it. I didn't have enough information to come and speak to that agenda item because I didn't know exactly what you were changing, and I would appreciate it in the future if you would please endeavor to make those changes when you're changing policy, when you're changing things like that. That will affect us as patrons, if you would please make those changes very clear ahead of time so that we have a chance to look it over. Thank you.
Melody Champagne.
Hi, Melody Champagne, Lafayette Parish. So I'm gonna follow up from last month. I was really appreciative of Ms. Ella giving us such a thorough, detailed updates for the Northeast Library, mentioning that churches and different news companies were used to inform the public and keep them understanding the changes or the decisions of the board. That's really great. Updates on West Regional, lots of breakdowns of cost and different items that are needed for sidewalks, the changes to the development, like we heard before. It would have been great to see the changes so that way the patrons know what's happening. So it looks like you guys are really doing a great job with details, so I would really hope that we could get some follow-up on why the word diversity was taken out of the mission statement. So I'm here again to address that, because now we're gonna continue to extract data about who we serve here with the changes to the development of the collection development. And that's really concerning to me. So I hope that after this meeting, I get a chance, or the community gets a chance, to hear why diversity and equal access and free was taken out the mission statement. That's kind of a big deal when you rewrite a mission statement. And so, since in the interest of details, we got to see those tonight for other topics, I would really like to know if you guys know why the mission statement was changed to take out, especially to me, the word diversity, because I think that is an accountability piece that we have to the people of the parish who pay taxes here, to know how we're spending our money, who we are inviting into our libraries, and who we're servicing. So I find it a little bit, I'm just still waiting to hear why these words were needed to come out. So looks like we're really capable of giving really close details of things that's happening, and I hope that you can follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Garcia.
Mary Garcia, Lafayette Parish. I would also like to speak to the change to the policy with the extraction of the data and some of the wording. Part of the mission, as I see it, and the responsibility of the library, public library system, is to make the community feel welcome. It's also to send, I think, a clear message to our staff, to our librarians, in regards to what types of materials they offer to the patrons that frequent their libraries. So I really, really believe that highlighting the diversity of our ethnic and racial groups here is important. It sends a message to the community that our libraries are here for all people. Lafayette Parish is home to many, many different ethnicities, and we have a large Black population, but we have an increasingly large growing Asian population. So I think that is really I'm sorry that those words were taken from the policy. I completely understand that it makes a little bit more work for the board to have to update those data points, but frankly, staff is going to do that for you anyway. Fundamentally, I just feel like that the more welcoming that we can be and offer recognition for the diversity of our races, genders, etc., I think that sends a very positive message to the community. So, and I also think it sends a message to our staff in their ordering practices in each library. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Any good comments?
Ms. Humphries.
To address those concerns, I don't know how many people actually read through the collection development policy. It is posted on our website. So I'm hopeful that we'll have even more exposure if Mr. Gillane can find a nice place on our website where it actually be more visible than it was, because it's kind of buried in the collection development. I mean, I don't think too many people go and read that policy, so hopefully we'll even be able to get it in a better place.